For many of us who chose teaching as our profession, did so because we love learning and sharing what we know with others. We imagined ourselves going to our school every day and walking into our classroom to do our job inside those four walls so that students can be successful beyond them in the world. In my case, teaching chose me first, and then I chose it. I became an English teacher because I wanted to foster change, to give students a tool of language to find better ways to bring the change they wanted to their lives. As much as I worked hard in my classroom, I would love to go back in time and do many things differently. However, I understand that I did the best I could with the knowledge and skills I had at the time. Now I have the privilege to be doing doctoral studies. And with that privilege comes responsibility to do something meaningful, to contribute to my field. I can't go back to who I used to be. I don't want to. I want to go back to my very first motivation, to foster change. My way to foster change is working on teacher learning, particularly on language teacher identity, with the purpose of helping teachers negotiate some dominant discourses, such as the native speaker of English as a superior and idealized category, which puts teacher in a vulnerable position full of self-doubt and does not allow them to be and feel empowered as teachers. This is especially difficult for teachers of English as a foreign language, who work in a country where English is not widely spoken.
Learned it at school, and because I am aware of the fact that I still do make mistakes, that I do not have the native accent, and it's not the language that um, is close to my heart or defines me completely as a person.
Regarding to feeling frustrated about not achieving a native-like proficiency, in my case I will say that I have felt probably not frustrated but insecure. I can recall two scenarios. The first one, when I was looking for a job, I was afraid that my English was not going to be good enough for getting a job.
In college, my professors were old school, I guess. So especially I remember my pronunciation teacher. She was very proud of her accent and how neutral it was and how native like it sounded. And we had, like all of these accent reduction courses, and so there was a big push to sound like a native speaker. And she would always tell us this story that she went to Japan or something, and nobody knew that she was from Chile. Everybody thought that she was from England, and she was so proud of it, because she wasn't, I guess, because she wasn't discriminated or nobody noticed her Latin accent. And at that point, it was like, oh right, I gotta do that. I gotta sound native, of course.
When sometimes it happens like 3 times when students told me that you are not speaking as people speak in UK or in America. Like you sound like a Romanian speaking English, not like how an English teacher should sound like.
This needs to change. Identity work is not an easy task in teacher education programs, but it is a duty. As teacher educators, we need to create spaces for reflection and discussion of identity negotiation. My goal is to design learning environments that respond to that need. explore what is creating insecurities, why teachers are not fully appreciating their skills, and finding ways to move to a strengths perspective, such as the one Nico describes.
Later in my master's degree, I learned a lot about identity and how your accent is part of who you are somehow, how it tells a story. So I don't know. I'm grateful that I studied a lot to sound more native like to some extent, but I'm also okay if sometimes my Chilean or my Spanish Latin American accent shines through some of the things that I say. So
Not all teachers are where Nico is. More work is needed. But the work goes beyond education programs. Little would that work matter if society keeps judging and racializing cultural and linguistic differences. If policies and teacher assessments continue to legitimize the linguistic standards that have been traditionally perpetuated as the only standards. There are deeper and more complex roots to all of this, but a teacher's professional journey can begin to change if these issues are addressed in education and in broader societal contexts.
It's not also it's and also it's not something that we teachers should do. It's like something that we should all be talking about. But I have to say something, like, unfortunately, like, we can do classroom level work, but our students are going to walk out there, and the circulating ideologies are going to hit them. They're going to hit them no matter what. We can, like, create in the classroom this wonderful space where accent doesn't matter, where, like, being a non-native speaker doesn't matter, but they're going to walk out there and they're going to have students who are going to ask them where they learned English, how they learned it. Like, those sort of questions they hit you no matter what, whether you want it or not.